to go over a review of comparing and ordering decimals. When you are comparing and ordering, one of the things that you have to make sure is that all of the numbers that you have, they must have the same place value. What that means is that they need to have the same digits behind the decimal point in all of the numbers that you are comparing. So if we look at these four numbers here, do they all have the same place value? Do they all have the same number of digits behind the decimal point? And that answer is no. Is there a way that you can make them have the same place value? Yes, there is. What you have to do is you have to add zeros to the ends of the numbers so that we make sure that they do have the same number of digits. When I look at this first number here, I see that it has 4 digits. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that all of the other numbers also have 4 digits. So I'm going to use what I call magic zeros, and I'm going to write those behind the last digit that's already there. So here we have 1, so I'm going to add 3 zeros to the end of it. So now this number also has 4 digits behind the decimal point. This one has 2, so I need to add 2 magic zeros. This one has 3, so it needs 1 magic zero. Once we have the same number of digits, it makes it much easier to compare or order these numbers. So once you have the same place value, you want to stack them vertically. So that means that you're going to stack them one on top of each other and then reorder them to answer the question correctly, whether you're looking for least to greatest or greatest to least, or you can always also use a number line to help you. So in this set of numbers, I'm going to look here at these 3 first. You can see that we have different digits behind the decimal, so we could add magic zeros. This guy has 3. So I would want to give these zeros so that they also have 3. I can also write them on the number line. So I'm going to start here with negative 2.300. Well, I know that negative 2.3 is going to come somewhere in between negative 2 and negative 3 on the number line, but that it's going to be pretty close to the negative 2. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write the negative 2.300 here on my number line. Then I've got negative 2.85. Well, that's going to be in between negative 2 and negative 3, but it's going to be closer to the 3. So it's going to come here on my number line. Then I have negative 1.995. Well, it's more than negative 1, but it's not quite negative 2. It's really close to negative 2. So I'm going to write it here on my number line. Then I can put these numbers in order from least to greatest easily. I can look at my number line. Remember, as we move to the left, the numbers are getting smaller. So if I was going to put these in order from least to greatest, I would need to start with this first number right here that is all the way, didn't mean to erase, which is all the way to the left. So my least would be negative 2.85. The next number would be negative 2.3, and then my greatest number would be negative 1.995. To write these in order from greatest to least, all I need to do is reverse that. So I would start with negative 1.995, followed by negative 2.3, and then lastly, negative 2.85. This other set of numbers here, we have are positives. So this would be kind of the old way that you're used to ordering decimals. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add zeros. So this number here has 3 digits, so I'm going to add some magic zeros so that all of my numbers have 3 digits behind the number line. Then I can look at where they would be on that number line. Let's start with this one right here, positive 2.5. Positive 2.5 is going to be directly in the middle of 2 and 3. Then I have 2.56, so that's going to have to be closer to the 3 2.56 here. This is 2.50. Well, then look here. Now I've got 2.543. So that's going to have to come in between negative 2.50 and 2.56. Sorry, none of these are negative, guys. So now I can write these from least to greatest. 2.5, 2.543, and 2.56. Now I can write them greatest to least just by reversing the order. 2.56, 2.543, and 2.5. Another way that you can compare an order is once you have the same place value, you can ignore the decimal and compare or order them as you would whole numbers. Remember, you have to add those zeros to equalize them. So let's give it a try. Let's fill in these zeros. And now let's look at these numbers as though they were whole numbers. So we would have 436, 470, 425. Which would be the least? That would be 425. In this case, 4.25. The next would be 4.36. And lastly would be 4.70. To put them in greatest to least, I just have to flip them the other way. 4.70, 4.36, and 4.25. With negatives, we can do the same thing. I'm going to add those zeros. This number has the most digits behind the decimal point. It has 3. So I'm going to add zeros so that they all have 3. Then I'm going to ignore the decimal point and I'm going to read these as though they are whole numbers. This 0 that's in the ones place, I can also ignore. So this is like having negative 450, negative 343, and negative 400. The least, of course, is going to be our negative 450. Remember, we're on the negative side of the number line. So it works in the opposite direction. So then I would have negative 0.4, and then lastly, negative 0.343 would be my greatest. So then to reverse them, greatest to least, I am just going to flip it over. Be very careful when you are on the negatives. I know you're strong with the positives. Be really careful with the negatives. It works opposite of the positive side of the number line.